G'day gang, happy holidays! It's a really cool day to be making a video. I want to talk about that, about celebration in stories. I want to talk about settings that have festivities and I guess happy moments, and I think the thing that I want to talk about most is how to show that your characters have cultural emphasis on specific things. I always go to gaming. I really want to get more book examples, but oh my god, I game so much. Oof. It's not a bad thing, but as a writer, I definitely want to be reading more. I'll just be honest about that. I think one of my favorite recent examples of showing culture through celebration, and I think one of the best examples is the absolute breakout hit Expedition 33. How, zero spoilers, don't panic, the first few minutes of the game is a celebration, and it is so expressive, and I feel like personally I found that the most impactful moment of the story, because it immediately ripped you into the setting and it just, bam, sat you right down in the middle of it. And I don't really think there's a better establishment in terms of setup. I think it has the best setup. My mic is failing to pick me up a bit, sorry. I think it has the best setting of any game that I have memory of, or any TV show or movie for me personally. But it's recent too, so it's going to have a lot more weight in that response. But it is genuinely fantastic in the way that they establish the way that they feel about the world, the way that they feel about each other, and that they are celebrating. And I think I would like to talk more about it, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. And I think the impact of that moment is particularly heavy if you go into it knowing less. So that is the extent of what I will say. But I think celebrations in stories are really important. I'm playing a tabletop game with a bunch of friends of mine, and our dungeon master or game master set up certain festivals in certain places. There are places that have particular affiliations with more violent deities, so their celebrations are fighting events and like these elevations of violence, which is so much fun in tabletop, in particular with tabletop. But there are also celebrations of artistic nature and all over the different parts of the setting. And I think that that is really important. Like, celebration plays a massive role in our lives, just as we are now on Christmas. You can see that there are a lot of people that spend time with their families, a lot of people that don't have as much money to celebrate, that are still celebrating with them, but in more carefully financed ways. And you see people that are massively, extravagantly going completely bananas on social media. You just see a huge spectrum of the ways in which that people celebrate and the things that people value over the holidays. So for me, for example, the thing that I most value would be spending time with family, and getting cozy and warm and being like happy with my family. And that's the most important thing over the holidays for me. The presents are just, there are numerous years in which that I don't give or get presents, and I think that that is completely fine. And I don't have an issue with that. We as a household don't have issues with that, because it's just not our preference, and everybody's preference is different. But you see a lot about someone's culture by how and what they celebrate, and you see that in your setting, you see that with your characters. And I think this is a really, really important thing not to snooze on as a storyteller or as an enjoyer of stories, not to miss what's being told to you in the celebration. Like there are examples of, you happen across a wedding in a video game, or in a novel there is a wedding, and you see the traditions that the people take. You see the lines that they say, which are also very, very significant in being able to understand how they feel about gender and the roles that in which that these people take place of. A lot of the content that I enjoy is fantasy, so you do see more traditional and typical roles because fantasy takes on a historic slant for the extreme majority of cases. And then you'll see completely different celebrations in sci-fi, and there's usually very different opinions of what people say to each other, and it's a more balanced celebration as well in terms of gender. So you get a whole spectrum of understanding just from seeing a celebration or just from having a celebration in your work. Weddings are a big gender one, but then you have celebrations of birthdays. You see what people enjoy, and it's really fun too to be able to give a character a birthday present and then have the other character express how much they know them or how much they don't know them. You can make what could be a really happy exchange be a very uncomfortable and conflict-ridden exchange of someone saying, you've given me something that is so completely against what I believe. Like giving a pacifist a knife. It's a really beautiful way to express how little someone understands another character, and this could be really great establishment in a story. You start out saying it's your birthday, happy birthday, and then the character just standing there going, do you even know me? So you have such a beautiful, happy, wonderful event turn sour so quickly into this twisted knot of pain and suffering, and immediately you have this really clear setting of characters and their relationships together, and also the significance of their personal culture in terms of how they celebrate birthdays and if they understand each other. Because if their birthday is really important and if family is really important, it's very unlikely that they would get such a completely inappropriate gift, for example. So I think that celebration in narrative, it's something that you really shouldn't snooze on. And again, not just as a storyteller, but also as an enjoyer of story, happening across something that is in a game and just happening around you, and the people are talking about it, and there are like moments of elation and excitement, and you get to experience that, and it is wonderful. You have those sorts of moments, and then you have curated and very intentional moments in television, movies, and novels where there are events that are very, very much established and set up and intended to be one way. There are so many examples of expression through celebration and character relationship through celebration in all of those sorts of forms. It's so much fun to try to think about having seen celebration in storytelling and your favorite stories and think, wow, that was a really defining moment and I hadn't put my finger on why, until you kind of think about the way that we personally celebrate and you think about your personal values. It becomes very real very quickly. So like I said, for me, gift giving, for my where I live, gift giving really isn't a massive part of the culture. It is part that there are parts in which that you will do gifts and there are options to do so. I choose not to in my household. We give gifts for the kids is very common, but not really for grown-ups. It's not really the way that I do it in my household, for example. It's not it's like my birthday will come and go and I will get to game all day and that's my birthday, you know. So we all have our different priorities on how we celebrate, and it's very interesting to see a little window into someone's life as to what they prioritize and what they like. And I think that again, me as an example, I think gifts can be very meaningful, but ultimately they're very shallow and short-lived. I think the things that really matter are bigger gestures, like celebrating together. I think that is the most important thing. And there are other characters in other stories and other people in other cultures who will always disagree. And that's the best part of celebration, is that it is worldwide. Numerous cultures celebrate so differently. And I don't think that there are many cultures that have essentially no celebrations. I think that every culture celebrates something, even in a small way. And the way in which that those celebrations reflect culture are often very, very clear. And I think that when you investigate narratives, you think about that too. And particularly when you create narratives or just settings, you can tell a story through a setting as well, in the terms of what do they celebrate and how, and what do they prioritize when they're there. Definitely a cool topic, I think, talking about this during the holidays. Are you overwhelmed by the holidays? Does it drive you crazy? Or do you have a really fun time? Do you like going over top? How do you feel about the holidays, personally, this particular holiday season, or your own personal holidays if you don't celebrate this one in general? Really interested to hear about different cultures. But be warned, I may rob something. If you have a particularly cool and unique celebration, I may have a very altered version of it in a character in a story, or in a culture, in a setting, in one of my novels at some point. Just be warned, okay? So comment. I'd like to hear about what you guys do. And if this season drives you crazy or not. Yeah. Okay. Bye.